So now that we've talked about the secundal chords, we're going to move on to the quartal chords. Okay, so we've done secundal, now we're moving on to quartal. Remember, secundal are chords that are stacked in seconds. Tertian is what we saw originally, and what is most common in music is where you stack in thirds. Let's go ahead and start on the same line. And then quartal is stacked in fourths, like this. Okay, so it's just a matter of how you stack your notes. Again, secundal is in seconds, 1 to 2, and then 1, 2. Tertian is in thirds, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 from the next note to the next note, and then finally quartal is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's see how to make the different variations. Now, what we saw before is we took the secundal chords and the tertian chords and everything, and we made major, we made minor, we made diminished, and we made augmented. And if you use the tertian chords, you have either minor thirds or major thirds to make your variations. And then for secundal chords, we saw it was either minor second or major second. And I just realized I forgot the 3 there for the major third. Okay, so what do we use for quartal? Well, quartal is going to use the next steps up. So a minor second is 1 half step, a major second is 2 half steps, a minor third is 3 half steps, a major third is 4 half steps. Okay, so we're going to use the differences with the quartal. We're going to use 5 and 6, and these are going to be called a perfect fourth or an augmented fourth. You could also talk about a fifth, but we want to keep everything in fourths, right? So this is not going to be a diminished fifth, even though they're enharmonically the same. We want to keep the quartal status going, so we're going to stack in fourths each time, just like we stacked in thirds and seconds in tertian and secundal. Okay, so let's go ahead and look down here. We'll see all the different combinations. We will start on, let's just start on C. C will make things a little bit easier for today. Okay, again, you can make quartal chords off of any chord you want. So all of them are going to look like this. You can start on C and make these. You can, but what I wanted to say is you can start on any notes. You can start on C sharp or A flat or anything you want. In fact, let's go ahead and make these different colors. Just laying the groundwork here. Stacking chords in fourths. Stacking chords in fourths. We got plenty of room. Let's go ahead and use all of it. And then finally, we'll use this nice blue color. Okay, so C, F, and B is really common. I'll just write this over here. C, F, and B, really common for a quartal chord, especially starting on C, of course. These are what you use. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the major. Remember, major was a major third. Back over here was a major, let's go ahead and do it this way. Was a major third followed by a minor third. Minor was a minor third followed by a major third. Diminished was minor, minor, and augmented was major, major. Okay, so all the different combinations. Same thing here. We're going to do the same thing, but instead of major and minor, we're going to use perfect and augmented. Okay, no, opposite way. We're going to use augmented and perfect like this. Okay, so augmented fourths, which are going to be 5 half steps, and perfect, or which are going to be 6 half steps. And then, there we go, and perfect fourths that are going to be 5 half steps, okay? So that should make sense. So here we go. We're going to start with major here. We can go ahead and call these this major. We'll call this minor. Minor. I keep hitting the undo button if you're wondering what's happening. And then this is going to be augmented, or let's just go plus, okay? And so this would be a quarterly major chord would be an augmented fourth followed by a perfect fourth. Augmented fourth followed by a perfect fourth. Okay, so augmented fourth from C is F sharp, and a perfect fourth is going to be just this, just be like that. Okay, so that's kind of cool, right? No big deal there. Next one is going to be minor. We're going to use a perfect fourth followed by an augmented fourth. Again, this is actually naturally perfect, and this is naturally augmented, which is super nice. Let me go ahead and write this over here just to keep us really, really sane. We got perfect fourth here, and we got an augmented fourth here. Okay, so this one is going to be a perfect fourth followed by a perfect fourth followed by a perfect fourth, and this will need a flat there. And then finally, the last one is going to be augmented fourth followed by an augmented fourth, which would look like this: C to F sharp, and then F sharp to B sharp. Now, before we move on, I want to point out something that's kind of problematic with this chord. If you look here, this note is a B sharp, this note is a C. These are enharmonically the same. You might as well be writing this chord. It would sound exactly the same if you change the B sharp to a C. So you don't really hear 3 different pitches here. You only hear 2 with a doubled note on top. So this chord doesn't really exist. You can't really use this. Much like we saw with the augmented 7th, which had C, E, G sharp, and B sharp, where we said, oh, that doesn't sound like a new note. This note just sounds like you're doing an augmented triad with C, E, and G sharp, and you're putting the C on top, and you're just doubling. These would sound exactly the same, so the augmented 7th doesn't exist here. Just the same thing as the augmented quartal chord doesn't exist. So we only have 3 because of the logic found in this, okay? So that's kind of cool. Let's go ahead and listen to these. The major sounds like this. We have C, F sharp, and B. Okay, so that's the major. I know it sounds augmented, but that's because of this augmented 4th right there. Minor, quote-unquote, minor quartal chord would sound like this. It still kind of sounds augmented because we have this really weird major 7th and the augmented 4th. That's really dissonant. This one is probably going to be everyone's favorite. It sounds most consonant because it's using kind of circle of 5ths movement by using 4ths this way. Okay, so one more time. Major, minor, and diminished. Okay, so these are the 3 different versions instead of the 4 different versions, but the 3 different versions of the quartal chords. We're not doing secundal, we're doing quartal today. Okay, so use these in your music, and I'll see you guys next time to talk about how we can relate them to one another.